What does ChatGPT mean for translators? Coming up. Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. So, ChatGPT, have you heard of it? Probably if you are in the language industry or in the tech industry involved in some way, you probably have only heard of it in the last weeks or month. To be honest, it has been a huge hype around it. It's the number one topic on any podcast or show I follow. And today also on mine, I want to share with you what I think this means for us freelancers, freelance translators in general. So ChatGPT is a revolutionary conversation model, language model, dialogue model, whatever you want to call it, by a company called OpenAI. OpenAI was first founded in 2015 by Sam Altman and Elon Musk. Musk, in the meanwhile, has left the company, although he is still a very important donor and sponsor and involved in strategic decisions, so he's still very much involved in what's happening. Their goal was, quote, to advance digital intelligence in the way that is most likely to benefit humanity. They recently shifted from non-profit to profit. That in itself is scary and worrying to me, because if a company has a tool in their hand that is so powerful that it could literally change how people see information and deal with the internet, you wouldn't necessarily want them to be profit-oriented. But I guess that's how advancements go, so we have to accept that. So anyways, ChatGPT is a revolutionary tool that allows you to have conversations, to have dialogue conversations with a robot. The interesting thing is that it doesn't rely on prompts. It can save the prompt that you ask beforehand and then base their answers on that. Let me show you an example. So I have the window open here. This is what it looks like. Here you can ask the question. I already started writing. If I want to ask it, which are the most beautiful beaches on Haiti? Let's ask him that. Then you send this prompt, and he will think about it, or she will think about it, or it, and then, it gives you a nice write-up of some of the most beautiful beaches in Haiti, include Labadie, Montreuil, Ile La Vache, etc. Now, the interesting thing is, if I enter now a follow-up question, I do not have to prompt anything about Haiti or beaches again, right? So if I ask now, if I went there with my kids, which one would you recommend? And now he says, if you're planning to go to Haiti with your kids, I would recommend visiting Labadie. This is amazing. This is unbelievable to me. I've been playing around with this and experimenting it with it. It's really blowing my mind. At the moment, though, it is just that. It is just a chatbot, right? It can only process input text and it outputs text. This is now GPT-3, the third version, and they're already teasing version 4. And I'm sure during this year we will see a version where you can actually upload full images, documents, create videos, probably even AI art generated. So people really start in the creative sector now also to compete with AI, which is kind of a new thing and interesting. It is drawing from the world's biggest human generated data source, which is the internet, right? It has access to the 2021 version of the internet. So anything that happens after that, it will not recognize, it will not know. The internet up until 2021 is already quite a big database. Of course, that leads you with the question, like, none of this data is verifiable, right? It's quite scary when you think about that. This is all based on internet searches, which can be very misleading sometimes. But I guess people need to be aware of that, and ChatGPT does make a mistake. It also has a warning at the beginning. It has limitations. Please don't trust it fully, right? If you just do a write-up, it's good for inspiration, but nothing more at the moment. Now, me being a translator and most of you guys watching as well, this is of course fueling the already heated up debate of will AI replace us? Will we all lose our jobs, right? I made a video about this about a year ago or something. You can click here if you want to watch it. It's very highly debated and still very much watched, so I'm happy to share it with you again. I am convinced that our profession as a translator, the translator occupation will be 100% changing, will be different, will even be probably exterminated, right? Now, this is a red flag, it's a warning, but it doesn't mean that if your job is changing that you will lose your job, right? As long as you don't miss the train. If you hop on the train on time, you will not be left behind. But of course, if you're still opposing this whole trend, today, then I'm not sure how to help you, because if you're still opposing, you're doing an honorable thing, like you're trying to hold on to the olden days, to the golden days, but that's not how business works, that's not how technology works. There is a famous saying that the only translators replaced by machines are the translators translating like machines. And you don't want to be the ones that translate like machines, right? You don't want to compete with them, because you will have no chance, you will lose. So, but now let's try it out. Let's see what the capabilities are of this, of ChatGPT in terms of translation. As I said, you can't upload any text, any documents, so I have to copy something in here. So I went to the Wired website and I found this text about robot cars are causing 911 false alarms in San Francisco. So it is quite, it's, you know, kind of a general topic, but still kind of technical. So this is about a driverless car that causes some disruptions because there is a two-way complaint system in there that police can reach out to the driver that is not actually driving, and it happened a few times that the drivers fell asleep. So let's see what it does. Now I copy that, I go back to the ChatGPT, I say, can you translate this text into German for Switzerland? Let's make it another layer more difficult, and I copy it and send it. So it starts with, for some residents of San Francisco, the robotic future of driving is just a tap away. All right, a tap away is probably going to be a tough expression, and robotic future of driving, I don't know, let's see. Für einige Bewohner von San Francisco, that's already strange, Bewohner. You wouldn't usually choose this word as for a city. The source says residents, that's also, I mean, yeah, in English you can say that, right, I guess, but it's a literal translation. Für die zukünftige Welt des Roboterfahrens, that doesn't work at all in German, that's very strange. Nur einen Tipp entfernt, that doesn't work at all. So this whole first sentence you will have to completely retranslate. That's a very bad word-for-word translation, that doesn't help. Mit den Fahrdiensten von GM, Tochtergesellschaft Cruise und Alphabet-Unternehmen Waymo. Okay, very nicely done. There are four companies in there, and one belongs to the other and one to the other, so that's very well done. You can just Fahrdienst, yeah, I guess you can completely take that part. That's very well done. Können Sie eine fahrerlose Fahrt mit einer App anfordern? Okay, this is a nice sentence. Aber einige Fahrgäste sind vielleicht zu bequem mit der Technologie geworden. That is too literal, becoming, what is it, too comfortable? Yeah, that's kind of a sassy way in English, right? Oh, they became too comfortable with technology because they fell asleep. So there is a very nice nuance in there in the English text that a machine can never pick up, right? Because later on, as you can see, the firefighters rushed to the scene but found the same thing. The passengers had fallen asleep in their robot cars, in their robot rides. All right, it is an hour later. My camera was out of battery, so I had to charge it. I hope the lighting is still okay. Where was I? I just showed you the translation example, I think, and I just want to make sure that you know that what we've seen here is, of course, it wasn't good quality, but this is about the NMT engine from Google that we've seen maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, right? So this has nothing to do with the specialized engines that we are aware of, that people work with, like LSPs and enterprises. They are much, much better. So just because this is not publishable content, it doesn't mean that it's not possible. But I think it's fair to say that the translation industry has not gasped in surprise with GTP coming on the scene. We are already kind of aware and familiar with the whole expert in the loop workflow in translation, that a professional translator works alongside AI technology to find the best possible text, right? But in other creative industries like acting, art, music, videography, etc., this has not been the case. So ChatGPT in these areas is a huge news, and that's why it makes so many waves in the industry as well. One thing that really is going to be very interesting in the near future is credit, right? Where does credit fall into this whole AI discussion? Now, if you can actually ask your AI engine to create you an image of your favorite holiday picture in the style of Picasso, that is based on the actual Picasso paintings, right? And I don't think he would want this to feed in there, you know, and then the actual brush strokes are based on his technique. but it's a completely new generated picture, so there is no licensing issues in a way. Or the same with essays, right? If you write an essay in this generative AI, so that means it's generating content on its own that has never been there before, there is no plagiarism issue. So you could technically just ask it to write an essay about the core of the earth, for example, scientific essay. It would probably spit out something that looks very good, but then there are always small errors in there, right? So it would never be on the level of a translator or a journalist, but it might be on the level of a first-year student, for example, right? And the academia and policy really needs to keep an eye on that, because what will happen, where is the line? Like, it's not plagiarism. This has never been there before. It's original content. So, like, where do you draw the line? Also with open book exams, they might be over soon, right? Because the idea of open book exams is that you can use all the tools available to you to create the best possible answer. But if you could just copy the answer into ChatGPT and it gives you the whole result, what's the point, right? So I hope they keep an eye on it. It will be very interesting what's coming throughout this year already, I feel like, in this regard. Because when students find out about that, trust me, they will use it. Now, for me, what this means, I'm very excited about it. I said it before, I'm experimenting a lot, and I think I will use it also for video ideas, for example. I can just ask it to give me video ideas, and it does, right? But then something else, check this out. I can technically just ask it now, can you write me a video about machine translation in the style of the Freelanceverse YouTube channel? Because I did start my YouTube channel before 2021, so it should have info on that, what I do, right? So let's see what it does. It was very quick, actually. So it's interesting what it says. First, it's like hatching. It says, I'm sorry, I'm not able to create videos. However, I can write you a script for a video about machine translation in the style of the Freelanceverse. Okay, so opening shot of a person typing on a computer. All right, not bad. I am usually sitting, at least in my old setup, I was always sitting at a computer. Welcome to the Freelanceverse. That's a good opening. Today we're talking about machine translation and how it's revolutionizing the way we communicate with people from all over the world. Cut to footage of people from different countries communicating. Gone are the days of struggling to understand a foreign language or relying on clunky online translators. Okay, so this is like one of these like advertising videos with stock footage and stuff. It's not the type that I make, but it's still impressive, and it can give me ideas when I have maybe I have a slight idea of a topic and I don't really know how to angle it. I can write it in here. It gives me an idea, and I can go from there, right? Interesting experiments. You try it out yourself. You just need to sign up, and then it's free. So to come to kind of a conclusion of this video, I feel like the fact that this system exists for free and is only kind of a beta version, right? It's the third version of many to come, is insane. It's amazing, and it's scary all at the same time, if you know what I mean. I mentioned in my video over a year ago now about machine translation that there is so much to come in the technology department that we can't even imagine yet, that there is no way, not even a point to worry about it. And I feel like this is exactly one of these things. Never in a million years would I have guessed that something like this is published in 2022 already, and the fact that it is just accentuates the fact, or the insane speed that humans are going in terms of technology. This generative AI, in many people's opinion, also in mine, will completely change the landscape of how we think about the internet, information, communication between people as well. I think it's an era-defining innovation, and as soon as this catches on, it will change everything. And I think the era of Googling something might come to an end because of that. But of course, Google would not be Google if they weren't working on something crazy themselves, right? They have something called Google Lambda and also something called Google Palm that goes even further. Why it's not happening right now, it would be a good moment to do this when ChatGPT is popping, right? But they say, or it's being rumored, that the world is not ready for their technology. So you can only imagine what they have in store. There have been rumors that they develop their own consciousness and stuff. So crazy things are happening. Crazy things is going to happen. Me personally, at the moment, I feel like they are just scared of what it might do to their core business, because their business is doing search with monetization with ads, right? And it's not clear yet how they can do that in that regard. So they don't want to put themselves out of a very lucrative business, if you know what I mean. But when you apply this kind of thinking, what's been happening, and if you apply that into the next 10 years, generative AI will change everything we know about credits, artist rights, information, work in general, content, information I already said, but this is a big one. So just get ready for that. Inform yourself as much as you can. And to answer the very important question that many people ask me, will machine translation replace human translators? We've never had the chance before to actually ask the source, right? So let's do that. Do you think machine translation will replace human translators? Machine translation has certainly advanced significantly in recent years, but it is unlikely that it will completely replace human translators. While machine translation is good at quickly translating large volumes of text and can handle multiple languages, it still has limitations. Machine translation can struggle with idiomatic expressions, cultural references, and understanding context, which are all important elements of translation. It literally tells you what you should work on so you can distinguish yourself from machines. So I think that's a good answer. Definitely, it's kind of what everyone is saying, and if the machine itself is saying this the same as well, it's a good sign, right? But then again, I can just tell it, can you tell me in Farsi? And it will probably do that. Are we doomed? Maybe, I don't know.